Well, greetings, everybody. Welcome once again to the Rec Poker Podcast. I'm your host, Steve Fredland, and as always, we are joined by our illustrious panel. We have Rob Washam, John Somsky, Jim Reed, Chris Jones, and Taylor Moss in the house. We want to thank our official sponsor, Running Aces Racetrack, Casino, and Hotel, and our other podcast sponsors, Learn Pro Poker and website AMP. This is episode 179, and today we got the guys from Postflop Poker. We got Ben Hayles, we got Merv Harvey in the house from nether regions of the world. Let's bring them in. Ben, where are you guys calling in from?
Go ahead, Merv.
Age before beauty, I see. Okay.
I think I might be furthest away. So coming from Sydney, Australia. I'm currently in the beautiful seaside town of Manly. So our suburb's just starting to buzz again. We've got 10 people allowed in restaurants at a time, maximum 2 hours. Everyone thinks that's party time compared to what we used to have. So
right.
What we've had for the past few months. So the places are buzzing, and beautiful day outside. The beach is there. It's sort of, I think it's probably like the same sort of climate as just south of Los Angeles, maybe. Picture long beaches, sand, sun. Lovely.
Sick break, yeah. We're in Minnesota, most of us, Minnesota and Canada. So, it's just like Southern California. It's just like that. That's fantastic. How about you, Ben? Where are you at today?
I'm in Bangkok in my home, and Merv does this to me every single episode on our podcast. You know, he talks about how beautiful it is in Sydney, and I'm stuck in my condo.
Well, at least there's consistency there. At least you know what to expect from him.
It's true. Yeah, he's very colorful with his descriptions.
Well, we were super excited to have you guys on. We've been trying to make this happen for a while, and it's obviously the time zones are one of the hurdles that we have to overcome. We've got Bangkok, we got Sydney, we got Central Time here in the U.S., but we're super excited to have you guys on because we just love how you guys do things. We think that we're speaking the same language in a lot of different ways, talking to recreational players and just kind of having fun doing it. And, I had the opportunity to hang out with you guys for a while, a few weeks ago, and like, man, these guys are really cool dudes. So we were super excited to have you guys on. So why don't you, for the folks that are listening to our show that aren't familiar with the Postflop Poker Podcast, maybe they're not as familiar with Merv and Ben, tell us a little bit of your origin story. How did Postflop come to be? How did you guys get connected? Tell us a little bit about where did this come from?
Well, I guess I'll start, and then I'll bring Merv in when Merv arrives in the story. I was a reasonably successful poker player from 2004 through to 2012, 13, 14, and I started branching out into the world of coaching. And in 2015, I wrote the books Postflop Volumes 1 and 2, and that is what spawned the podcast, because off the back of it, we just thought, it's a really good way of getting it out there. And the podcast has just become something so special to me. And we've just done episode 104. So you know what it's like. Everyone is an achievement, and you feel a sense of pride. And I've been buzzing. Merv joined, I don't know, it was around episode 28, was it, Merv?
Yeah.
Something in that range. So Merv's been with me for a large part of the journey. We've always been a kind of Anglo-Aussie podcast from the very beginning. I had an Australian chap in charge with me, and so I was delighted when I got Merv on board to keep that going, because that differentiates us a little bit. We haven't got those American accents, and a few people appreciate the different accents we've had on the show. We had a Dutch fellow on for 70 odd episodes, and he was very entertaining with his Dutch accent. So it's been a podcast. We're very, very similar to yours in that we direct it in a jovial way at the recreational player. It's not super serious, but we do a lot of hand analysis. And that's a pretty decent intro. Merv, what have you got to add?
Well, I guess when I came on board, we were going through the chapters of the Postflop book one by one.
Yeah, that's right.
And we had nearly got to the end of the chapters in the book, and it became a question of, well, where do we go from here? We're going to run out of chapters. And I had a long list of people that I really wanted to chat to, and I thought, maybe we can get them onto the podcast. So, a bit like, as you know, Steve, getting poker players available at a particular time and lining them up and having them be there. You never know. They could still be in the tournament. They could be regging for another tournament.
We've had them on, and like they're waiting. They're in the lobby of a. Remember, we remember that one we had. Kenna was on. He took a break. He left his stack. He came to talk with us for a while while he's in the lobby of the hotel. And you're right. Like the 1 minute leading up to the thing, you don't know, are they going to show up? Or are they not? You just don't know. It can be a struggle. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it's been a real pleasure of mine being able to kind of find guests that we can get on at the same time as myself in Sydney, Ben in Bangkok for a while there. We had Mike in the Netherlands, and usually an American guest. So crossing 4 time zones, and it's just been excellent. I've really, really loved everyone that we've got on, and watching your podcast grow too, Steve, and seeing the sort of guests that you're getting on, it's like it's an inspiration to me as well.
Well, it's super fun. I know we talked about this off the air a little bit, just sort of like, kid in a candy store, right? I mean, it's super fun to talk poker, and and you guys have had success on your own accord, but it's always fun to talk to other people that have done amazing things, and it's pretty humbling, and it's pretty nice that they're willing to give some time to us and try to, I think like our job, like your guys' job, my job in some degree is how do we translate that? How do we make that accessible to the people that are playing their bar leagues, their home games, and kind of bring those experiences, to everybody who sort of just dreams of playing with these folks someday. So I think it's a pretty fun opportunity for us to be in that spot.
Exactly. And one of the best things is that we discover that these guests that maybe super high up in the media world, they're just regular people as well. And when they get a chance to chat to us and pass on some of their background and their history and all the different I guess all the different stories and different tips. I just love it. Get so much out of every episode, and it's fantastic.
Love it.
Well, it's been one of my favorite podcasts for a long time. I'm not like the great Chad McVean, the superhuman podcast listener, and John Somsky here on our panel also is an avid podcast reviewer. But I listen to a few poker podcasts, okay, and I will say yours clearly has the catchiest music. So, you listen to a lot of podcasts, you hear a lot of jingles, you hear a lot of bumpers, but I will say unreservedly, we don't give out a lot of awards here, Merv. No, but if we're going to give out an award on the podcast, I think I'd have to give it to you guys for the music alone. So well done. A little award on the pod for you guys.
Fantastic.
That's amazing. We've only been on 10 minutes. We've got an award, man.
Right. It doesn't take much, We've actually given Taylor Moss a pin for winning something too. So it's just kind of whatever, just kind of take it in stride. We just kind of they're a dime a dozen. Maybe we'll send you a Rec Poker pin maybe for your award playing music.
Oh, but yes.
well, one of the things that we like to do is, is it your actual birthday today, or did you just recently have it?
In America, it still is because it's May 18th there, right?
Yes.
Whereas here it's May 19th. So I actually had my birthday yesterday. I started celebrating it on Saturday night because we could go out and have a dinner at a restaurant with my partner. So I have this long tradition of stretching my birthday out as long as possible, from the very first wish that you get from someone that remembers it sometime in May to the family get-together that you haven't got around to getting, and it happens in June. So that way I have like a month sort of birthday celebration.
This seems like this is probably why you have friends around the world, so that you can start your birthday and then basically have it last for 48 hours. Oh, I'm going to go on a podcast the day after my birthday, and they'll think it's my birthday, and they can celebrate. And I see how it is. Well, one of the things that we love to do, guys, we love to break down hands too. I mean, we love to chat and catch up. But one of the things that we just love to do, and I know you guys do a lot of this, is breaking down hands. And so, if you guys are willing, we'd love to kind of jump into one and start tackling that with you.
Definitely.
All right, Chris, you want to take us there?
Yeah, sure. Thanks. Yeah, I'm a big fan of your podcast as well. I'm excited for to talk about this hand. So thanks for being here with us.
Good.
This hand actually is something that we kind of have monthly topics that we talk about as a group, and we've been looking a lot at sort of ICM implications, sort of big decisions. But I thought this was interesting because it's both an ICM spot, but it also has a lot of post-flop discussion, which I think is where we really value your sort of vision and expertise. So this is from a really big tournament, but it's one that had both rec players and the best of the best. It was that PSPC, the Platinum Pass tournament that they had in, I think, the Bahamas, where you could win. It was a $25,000 buy-in, but they gave away all those Platinum Passes around. And so this is the final table. We have 5 left in the tournament. The next player gets $1.3 million, and the winner gets $5.1 million. And the table has one kind of table captain with 90 big blinds, and everyone else is sort of, there's no real short stack, and everyone else is kind of fighting sort of in the middle, the rest of them. And we're going to take the perspective in this hand of the big blind. So we're in the big blind. The blinds are 150K, 300K with a 300K big blind ante, and we have 9.98 million in chips. So we have a decent stack, but it's not one that we're need to be messing around with too much. But I will say this, and one of the things that I think which recreational players, myself included, can find ourselves getting into trouble is where we find ourselves with having been really dormant for a while, having been card dead for a while, not having taken much action, especially at a final table or in a big spot like this, and we're seen as the tightest player at the table, for sure. Like, everyone else has been very active, and this player in the big blind has basically not played a hand yet, and has gotten down from 9 to 5. So that's some background context for this. So we're sitting there in the big blind, and we have ace of spades, 5 of spades. And the cutoff opens to 650K. And what's our, I mean, this is pre-flop, I know, but what's our thought here?
So the button and small blind fold.
Yeah, so button and small blind fold. Yeah. So now we're facing one player. We can be heads up. We can call. We could fold, or we can raise here.
So I want to know a little bit about the cutoff and his tournament situation. If you could, do you have the stack size?
Yeah,
has he got
the stack size of the cutoff? He just barely covers us. He has 10.2 million. So we're really neck and neck. We have about the same stack size, but he just barely does cover us. And I will tell you, he's a Platinum Pass winner, for whatever that means. So won his way in one way or another. Did not plunk down the 25K to be there. And so, and has been more active than us at the table for sure.
Mm. Yeah, so I mean, this is a spot where we should not be folding. So we're mainly working out whether we should be calling or 3-betting, and I think with the ICM implications the way they are, it does favor calling, because you want to play a small pot, and so does your opponent, and there's quite a good chance that that's going to take place by pot control through the hand. Now, there's a flip side. Of course, if you 3-bet, you're applying pressure and you're more likely to make your opponent fold. But it is risky with ace-5 of spades. It's a risky move. If you are going to 3-bet, I think you can go quite large and really aim to make your opponent fold his hand. And then you've got a relatively comfortable fold if obviously if he 4-bets or if the post flop goes horribly wrong. So I would be kind of 75% on the call there. Merv, any?
Yeah, I'm pretty much on team call as well. Putting 350K more into the pot, which will, then we've got stack to pot ratio still around, I think, around 5-ish. I see that as much better than, as you say, if you're going to raise 3-bet, it's got to be biggish, and you might have to be prepared to fold as well. If they do call that biggish 3-bet, then the stack to pot ratio is starting to look not so.
I mean, so. You do. Ben, you could.
Sorry, I think there's, one question. I know we tried to cut you off there. We have a little timing issue, but no. I'm curious, you kind of went over quickly saying, it's just, this is not a spot where we should be folding. And I agree with you in that spot. But I think for a lot of recreational players, we hear all of this stuff about ICM and ICM and ICM, and there's 5 players left and there's only one big stack. And, I think a lot of players might be saying, why not just fold here? I mean, clearly I think we have enough hand equity, but I think a lot of people will be like, why not just fold? So maybe address that question as part of this.
There's a line where you just you can play tight, but you can't overfold to that extent, because you're just throwing away your opportunity to win the tournament, and you really need to keep your eye on winning the tournament despite the ICM. There's these 2 pressures on you, and you mustn't get drawn into being too defensive, and that's the main reason. That prize money for winning is so insane. You've got to give yourself the opportunity to win. I mean, make a deal, because you've got here, and if it's life-changing money, then make a deal. But if you're in the middle of the hand, you can't make a deal. So you've got to be brave, and if you find yourself in a spot where you're playing for uncomfortable amounts of money like this, it's very, very important to focus on the dual pressures that are going on. Not just get drawn into the one pressure of, okay, I'm under ICM pressure myself, I need to keep folding. You're also in a spot where you want to win first prize, and that can never drift from your thoughts.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what comes out. I think we hear these all things, but there's always these competing factors. One is ICM. We want to be smart. We be a disaster to lose in this spot, but I think sometimes we can overweight that. It's all these competing factors, and how much weight do you give each factor? And I think sometimes there's this element of shrinking up, and I think part of that is because of we just overvalue ICM and we undervalue being able to put ICM pressure on others, and we undervalue, like you said, top prize. Like, it's just so much bigger than 3rd or 4th or 5th.
Yeah.
And how do you guys view the number of players that are left on the table? Because Chris, you said there's 5 players left currently.
Yep, there's 5 left, and one big stack, and everyone else is around that kind of 30 big blind range.
Would it be safer to say that we'd be much tighter if we had more people left in the field? Is that how you guys view it?
I personally would still be looking to call. If I'm closing the action, I've got 30 bigs. It's going to cost me 1 and a bit bigs. The difference between 29 and 30 bigs at this point is not huge. So I think it's well worth chucking in, especially with a hand like Ace-5 suited. You really can get, if you get a good flop, great. You're in. If you whiff it, then it's a simple fold, and you've got 29 bigs left instead. If it was something like Ace-6 off, Ace-7 off, that's when I would be probably considering the team fold and just saying, no, this hand's not. I'm going to be under pressure if an ace does come in case I'm out-kicked. But those little ace suited hands, I'd love to see a flop with for the cost of 1 more big and into a pot 1.7 mil.
I mean, the pot odds are just so good, and the size of the raise is attractive for the pot odds, and you got your antes in. So, I mean, you've got to really stick around, and the call is just made really attractive. So, I think how much should you be 3-betting? How often should you be 3-betting compared with calling? I think you have to call quite often here, just because of the pot odds. If the raise size is a higher amount, then you need to actually 3-bet more often, and consider folding sometimes as well. And that's just the way it is. When somebody starts min-raising 2.25xing into your big blind, you have to defend with a lot of hands.
I was curious, What were the stack sizes of the button and the small blind going into this? What was he raising into, in other words?
Oh, that's a good question. The big stack was on the the big stack had folded. So the button and small blind were not the big stack.
So they're all about this 30 big blind, 35 big blind.
I think, one of them had 40. It was kind of like 35, 32, 30, whatever, but it's in that range, yeah.
Okay. So he felt pretty comfortable raising into these stacks because he wasn't going to be raising into the big chip leader.
Right.
Okay. All right.
Well, and so actually, I think this hand gets even. I mean, this is a good discussion, but I think as we're talking to the post-flop poker guys, this hand gets more interesting post-flop. So in actuality, our hero does call. And so we go to a flop, and the flop comes king of diamonds, 3 of diamonds, 2 of spades. So we've got backdoor spades, we've got a gut shot, but not much else. And we're first to act. And I think this is where, I'm not going to lead the witness. So let's talk about what we're doing here first, and then I'll tell you what our hero does.
There's a lot of options. There's a lot of options in this kind of spot. It's a flop where if you examine both ranges, they're quite wide, and you when you're dividing up what you're going to do, you can choose a lot of different hands to make different moves within this kind of spot. A lot's going to depend on how I think my opponent's going to react, but you should probably be sticking around. That's the truth of it. Whether you go with a check calling line or you even pull the trigger on a check raise, which would be kind of quite attractive in some ways here. I mean, leading out, it depends on your strategy. If you ever donk lead flops in this kind of spot, I probably would never do it here. I would be looking at, what am I check raising against this guy? What's my range look like? And maybe pulling a trigger, because I think you can make him fold a lot of his hands here with the check raise.
Yeah, I'm probably coming from a bit more conservative place. I'm looking to probably check call, depending on the size of the bet. Possibly coming from this rec player, bit of a rec player mentality that if it's a big bet, I don't know if I want to be calling to hopefully hit maybe another spade. Hitting my gut shot's a little bit risky, or less odds for that. If I get another spade, then I'm going to be inclined to want to call a river bet. A turn bet. And and if an ace comes again, I could have just been facing a standard C bet with ace king or ace king, ace queen, ace jack, and I'm well behind again. So check calling depending on the size of the continuation bet for me.
So what if I told you that our hero leads for 1.1 million?
And what was the pot size? Because was that a large pot? Was that a pot size bet?
1.7.
It's a big bet because it's about 1.6.
Okay, so like 70% of the pot.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I think it's interesting, and I don't think it's a bad thing to do. I think it applies some pressure immediately. It doesn't generate as much immediate fold equity as a check raise would, but it doesn't jeopardize your stack as much. And it obviously, with the ICM implications, it's not a bad idea. I think you need a strategy. If you're gonna make bets like this, you need an overall strategy which includes it. So you need to understand your range for leading the betting, and that's what's really important. Because you can have a player who's nicely balanced who never donk leads a flop here, and you can have a player who does it maybe 10, 20% of the time, and both can be perfectly fine as long as you understand which hands you're including in the range and how the rest of your ranges are built up. So, yeah, I mean, I'm okay with this.
Yeah, I think it's a good bold move, and I think what you said about having to plan ahead is the most important thing, because you're putting that bet out there basically so that you can take the pot down straight away. If you get called, when then the turn comes, are you going to double barrel if it's a brick for you? If it's a brick for you and you check, face a bet, or alternatively you get raised by him after you lead that 1.1, and you're not standing too good then. So I think it's a bold move, and it's in a way it's probably good throwing a few bigs out there out of your 30 bigs that you started with. If it wins the pot, great. You've chipped up a bit, move on. If not, facing resistance or a call, and then if you don't improve, I'd be finding a way out of that hand.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious how you in some of those things where you're thinking ahead, you're thinking about what is my line on the turn if I get called, or in this case, if you get raised, you just throw it away. But I think we're always told we want to have a plan. We want to have a plan. Okay, and so in some cases, against some opponents, in some situations, I'm going to want to bet flop and then continue again on barreling again on most turns. That's my plan against some players in some situations with some chip stack sizes. And in other spots, it's just going to be, if I get called on the flop, I'm going to give up. And I'm kind of curious if there's sort of any just general guidelines that you might have. Is it the turn card? Is it the player? Is it the situation where you start saying, hey, what is my line here? Like if you're looking at this situation right now and you're saying, I'm going to fire flop, and if I get called, I'm going to do X on the turn. How do I decide if X is firing again or if it's just checking and giving up?
Maybe if you improve. Sorry, Ben.
No, I mean, obviously, if you the turn card, you need to have a general concept of which turn cards are going to be.
Short of improving, I guess. Let's assume that I'm thinking what's my overall strategy, assuming it's a blank of whatever I determine a blank to be.
I mean, you need to be able to continue with enough hands on think about what all the possible turn cards are as a. I know it's very difficult to do, but have a general concept of how many are going to be blanks, how many are going to be good for you. In this particular hand, you have got the 2 diamonds on board, which is a little bit more difficult to generate as much fold equity. So moves like the check raise or leading the betting on the flop are a little bit more uncomfortable, and with a gut shot draw like this, backdoor flush draw, it's not one of your best drawing hands that you could possibly be holding. So if you're going to include this hand within either of those ranges for being a bit aggressive, then I feel like you need to think your opponent's going to fold too often, because you from a GTO perspective, you're probably including a few too many hands in that range. And there aren't going to be as many great turn cards, and you're probably not going to be able to progress as often as you should be able to on the turn. And for that reason, I think it is really important that you understand your opponent's tendencies and you are confident you can make him fold either on the flop immediately or with a continuation on the turn enough. Because if that player is going to stick around optimally, or even just a little bit more often than you would like, then your situation could get really difficult in the rest of the hand.
In sort of adding to that, when we're thinking about our opponent, how much, and this is one of the things I think I sometimes struggle with, I think I overthink what my image at the table is. How much do we put into consideration the fact that we've been so quiet, that we've basically been folding for 4 eliminations and probably an hour of play. The final table hasn't seen us do much of anything, and we're up against a Platinum Class winner who probably may be a very good player, but is just not as probably experienced as some of the other players at the table. How much of that goes into whether we choose to take a more aggressive line?
Mm. I was going to suggest that the good thing about being in a live situation is that if I put that lead bet out there, I'll be able to just watch my opponent and just see how comfortable he is in making the call, or if he's even considering to re-raise. Sometimes you'll just get a distinct thing that he's very uncomfortable just making the call. And then I can start to think, okay, maybe he has an underpair, and the right card on the turn just makes it perfect to put that one more bet out there, because you know that he very, very reluctantly called that flop bet. I've got much more experience in playing live than online. So online, I probably wouldn't get those sorts of tells. But when you're talking about it being a platinum pass winner as well, rather than a top pro that I know is going to be able to not give me any tells, I can often use that and my image as being a solid, rock hard kind of player. That when I do put a bet out there, you guys better know that I've probably got something. And this might be one of those times when I don't, but it's been so long since I've put a bet out there. There's a king on the flop, and maybe I can take it away with the bet repping that king.
Yeah, I agree. I think you should be a lot more willing to be aggressive because of your very tight table image. I think it's going to work to your advantage. So you ought to be thinking about bluffing with a higher frequency. Whereas if you've been super loose, you're just not going to get believed as often. It is a big factor. I mean, how do you quantify that? I don't know, but I would be pushing more of my hands into the aggressive ranges. So yeah.
Well, we lead out for 1.1 million, and the cutoff does call us, and the turn is the 10 of hearts. So now we're leading again, or we're what are we doing now with this? We've talked about what we do with what specific cards. What are we doing with this card?
Yeah. So what do you think the cutoff is calling with? He's calling with flush draws. He's calling with a king. Is he calling with many other cards? Is he calling with smaller pairs? Is he loose enough to call with just an ace high hand here? These are all the sort of questions you need to ask yourself. What's left in his range on the turn, and then assess, how you're going to progress. But the 10, obviously, it hasn't helped us. It's not a good card for us. Yeah, it's tricky. I mean, you want to be betting with a fairly high frequency, but I don't think this is a great card. So it's maybe one more shot, and then, but yeah, you can afford one more go at it. It's not like you're in big trouble with the stacks, because I mean, we've still got a decent amount left behind, so I think we can make another bet, but we're probably having to give up on the river. I don't see this as a triple barrel all in. Doesn't feel very good.
Right.
Yeah, and having to put in a second barrel, pot's about 3.6 million, half pot 1.8. You're looking at already putting in over 3 million of your 10 starting, and if this doesn't come off, you've just done a third of your stack, basically with ace 5 suited virtually whiffing the flop, nothing on the turn for you. And does he have to have much to continue, or to put more pressure on the river? If he sees that you weaken and you check here, then maybe he bets and takes it away. I'm not too keen on the double barreling in this particular thing. If I'd improved a bit, if I'd picked up another spade, maybe an ace, or especially the 4, then my double barreling comes much more into play.
Mm-hmm.
And it's worth leveraging that 3 million total that I've put into the pot so far into what could become a much bigger size pot.
Yeah. If I think he's floating the flop really often, I might throw out one more attempt here. But I agree with Merv. It's just not a good card. If you think your opponent has got a piece of this, which he probably has, it may be time to give up.
Mm-hmm. Well, go ahead. Mm-hmm. Oh well, our hero does lead out. Our hero leads out for 2.7 million, which is a very big bet. And I'll go ahead. Before I tell you, the cutoff does call, but what do you think of that bet size?
How much has he got left behind after it?
Let's see. He's got. That's a good question. We've put in.
We've got to think about whether he's setting this up for.
5.5, maybe 5.5.
Something like 5 points something behind.
But he's leaving himself less than half a pot left or something behind with that size of a bet. Because I think there's going to be nine something in the pot. He's going to have like 5 left on the river, so he's not really setting himself up to have fold equity there.
No, so I'm not keen really. Based on, I didn't realize the numbers were that. Yeah, there's a little bit more in the pot than I had thought. I'm not keen. Merv? You hate it. Merv.
Come on, Merv, tell us how you really feel.
You're pretty right there. Yeah, as soon as I get that call, I'm big swallowing the gulp, and there's a big chunk of my stack that's potentially gone unless the magical 4, and preferably not the 4 of diamonds, comes on the river. I'm not liking that lead. Definitely not liking the call by the cutoff. I would have preferred a check, and then probably just about check, give up. That's me personally, but he's going for it, and he's putting the pressure on. It's 75% size of the pot. So if he's got that inclination, or has just got that kind of feeling that he's just
he is going to get a lot of folds here. Yeah, he's going to get a lot of folds. So I mean, the bet itself, I'm not too keen on it, but it's not awful by any means, and it's more just a case of once he gets called, like Merv says, he can't continue. That's it. Don't pull the trigger on a bluff on the river. It's just not going to work often enough.
Well, I'd be curious if you're in the cutoff, what does that bet sizing mean to you? We talk a lot about bet sizing, and if you're in the cutoff and 3.8 or whatever's in the middle, and the guy bets 2.7 out of his 7 million stack on the turn. Like what? How do you read that? Like what information, if anything, does that give you? Assuming that they're a thinking player, you can. Does that signal strength? Does it signal weakness? Can you draw any sort of inferences from that, knowing that if you call, they have a half pot size bet? Or what do you do with that?
Not in a. I mean, if you're playing online with people that you know very well, and you know that they have, say, certain bet sizes on flush draw boards, then you can make those inferences. But if you're just playing with someone for the first time on how can you really know what they're doing? I think that bet sizing tells once you reach turn and river, you just can't start reading too much into it. I don't subscribe to that at all. I think people get way too they believe too many things that just really aren't necessarily true. So I think you've got to be really cautious of that.
So unless they've been betting 30% of the pot all the time, and now all of a sudden switch it up, unless they do something like that.
Yeah, you need a sample size. Yeah. You need solid information before you can start making sweeping judgments, for sure. So I mean, a 70% bet size might be this player's standard sizings, and a lot of players will make these bet sizes, but in modern poker, in these tournaments with 30, 40 big blind stacks around, most players are choosing 30, 40, 50% bets these days. So it is a large bet size, and it's not great for an ICM intent spot. Yeah, I'm not a fan of the bet size, but from the opponent's point of view in the cutoff, it does apply more pressure. And like I said before, unless he's got a king or a flush draw or something fairly decent here, then yeah, I think he's going to be folding a lot of hands. So when he makes the call, I think that's it. You know, you've got to hit the river.
All right. Well, how does this feel when he makes the call? We hit the ace of clubs.
Oh, that's the worst possible card to hit.
So, what are we doing now? We've got a board now again.
You check prey.
King of diamonds, 3 of diamonds, 2 of spades, 10 of hearts, and ace of clubs.
I mean, is your opponent calling with a king?
I can't, but probably not based on this action.
Well, then you've no value.
Yeah.
So you know, if you're betting for protection to stop your opponent bluffing. You're out of position and you're in trouble. You should have folded pre-flop.
Thank you.
And you know, and this is like that kind of spot where I think we've put ourselves in this position by bloating this pot and by kind of leading these 2 spots here.
Yeah.
But I think we probably have to hope that we just get check and we win at showdown to a king.
Yeah.
But in real life, we check and the cutoff jams. It's an easy fold.
We've still got about 5.
It's not an easy fold. It's not an easy fold by any means. From a pot odds perspective, you need to be able to win 20-25% of the time to justify the call. It's you need to be thinking, okay, there's ICM, so you want to be winning a bit more often than that. But you need to think about your opponent and is he capable of doing that as a bluff.
And what are the bluffs here are probably most likely diamonds. Is that what we're thinking at this point?
Most of them, yeah. I mean, he could have a similar hand.
He could have got sticky with 6s or something. Probably not on that turn. I mean, I was going to say on the flop he could get sticky there and turn it into a bluff, but probably not. He's probably not calling turn there.
He's got all the suited ace diamonds. So
yeah. Just diamonds, isn't it, really? And
yeah, those are his bluffs, yeah.
Yeah. And are you going to get called by worse? I just can't see.
Yeah, it really hurt if you called this and they turned over, ace 7 of diamonds or something like that.
Yeah, and that could happen.
Right.
Because some of his diamonds will have an ace.
Yeah.
Right. So that's a really good point. And it maybe helps tip the balance in favor of finding that fold.
Yeah. I agree.
Horrific.
I think you see it happen too often where you're hanging around in hands and you get to the river and then you hit a card, but that card happens to be the one that you don't really want to be hitting in hindsight. So sometimes it makes yours straight and it makes the other guys flush. You've been hanging around for that open-ended, you finally get it, and the other guy's been hanging around for the flush. So I just would have to really reluctantly find the fold and keep hold of my now nearly 20 bigs, 19 bigs, 18 bigs, somewhere in that region, and just tighten up. Just probably mostly because of the ICM. When Taylor mentioned before about having more players involved, that's a little bit different then, because you may really need to be trying to find a big stack to continue on with. And this may be one of those spots where that player's also trying to find that, and he thinks he might have just stolen a pot from you by this jam. But yeah, in this ICM thing, you're already sitting on 1.3, so the next one's probably 1.9 or 2 million. So that's a big jump for a platinum pass player. So I don't think that they're going to be doing it with absolutely nothing or confidence that he can get you to fold. And so I'm going to be finding the fold button after tanking for as long as possible.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point about it's based on our action and this bet sizing we've been putting into this pot, that a platinum pass winner, they're really are they really thinking they can get you to fold whatever they think you've been doing this with? Yeah, I don't know. I think so our hero does fold, and he folds the cutoff had king 10. So it was a good fold. But I think probably we could have got ourselves into less trouble on that turn sizing. I think we'd have learned just as much with either a smaller turn sizing or a check on that turn. But I thought it's an interesting hand because it's one where I think I find myself sometimes getting into trouble in these spots too, especially ICM spots where I've been sort of card dormant and I'm like, okay, I got to make something happen, and I get a somewhat pretty hand, suited ace in the big blind. Okay, I'm going to do some stuff. Oh, I got a gut shot. I'm going to, and you kind of follow this cascade of things, and suddenly you're in a real tricky spot.
Yeah.
I'm curious you guys' thoughts. Oh, go ahead. Finish your thought, Ben.
I was just going to say the sizing, not just on the turn, but on the flop as well. It's just the element of pot control that you need in these situations, unless you've got a really good reason. And I think here, if it was a drier board where you're just saying, right, I want to find out if he's got a king or not, you can manipulate your bet sizings when you've got a really good reason for doing so. But as a general rule of thumb, probably the biggest takeaway from this is, keep those bet sizings on the smaller size in these tournament spots, which is very normal at 30, 40 big blind stacks. You just got to be a little bit more cautious with the sizings.
Exactly. And those two bets that you put in, 1.1 million, 2.7, if that 1.1 was initially closer to half pot, say 800,000, 850, then the next bet closer to half pot again, your pot size now is 6 million, and on the river you've got more than that. So his jam is looking a lot different there. Is he going to jam? And maybe he would just put in a smaller bet, and then So I'm totally agreeing with that. Is that if you're going to be fishing around with some putting some bluffs in, I don't think you want to be doing them with bigger size bets at this stage of the tournament, out of position.
Yeah, I love that. I'm curious your thoughts on this. It's sort of a creative line, but I just want your feedback. So let's say on the river, there's 9 million in the pot and we have 5 million behind. What about leading out for 1.5 million? Knowing full well, there we get called by a king. Knowing full well if we get raised, it's an easy getaway because our opponent has to imply that there's no fold equity. I'm just curious about that. I'm trying to think about those sorts of blocker bets a little bit in my game because I don't do it very often. I'm always looking for spots for that. And I'm just curious if this is a spot. If we get re-raised, we still have 12 big blinds and we continue the tournament. It's a very easy fold. We maybe get called by a king. We're taking the bluffs out of their shoving range. I'm just kind of curious if I'm thinking about that as a possibility here or if this is not a good spot for something like that.
I would urge not to do it just because of the flush draw on the board. I think that it makes it less attractive to me.
See where I'm actually thinking. Isn't it something that some of the solver solutions have kind of started suggesting, or I seem to be seeing them floating around, where some of these small size bets are enough to get the person off there. And if they had been calling along with a flush draw that's just missed on the river, maybe they just give up. And I think it has to be a small size. And
that's what I was thinking. Like okay, so we take the I think we take the bluffs out of their range.
Are we on the river? Sorry.
Yeah.
On the river. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
No, so we hit the ace, and so it's on the river. So if we bet, million and a half out of our 5 million, if they raise, we just know we're dead, and we can easily fold, and we still have chips, rather than if we check and they shove, and now we have this horrible decision: do we fold or not? And I think it takes some of those bluffs out of their range, and I think we also maybe get called by a king there if it's that small of a bet. So I'm curious about that.
Yeah, it's very logical. Like a 20% bet or something. It works well. It works well as a small value bet. I think you're right. You get called by a king. It's a glorified check, but it just makes his decision more difficult. And he's raising rather than just
right.
Just
if he has 2 diamonds, is he going to rip it in there? Is he going to turn 2 diamonds into a bluff there? I don't think he would. That would be pretty. You'd have to have a pretty good read on me to do that, I think.
Yeah.
What if you do that? What hands do you show up on this board where you're going to be able to call a shove? Because I think if you do that, you have to have. Are you doing this with pocket threes or pocket deuces?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm doing that with ace king, queen jack, ace 10. Sets.
Yeah, you can balance it quite nicely. Yeah. I think it works quite well.
It looks very value-y, right? It looks very value-y.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good shout, Steve. I like that.
Well, I don't know. Well, there's plenty of spots where that's not appropriate, but I'm just trying to figure that out for my own game. Like, where does a blocker bet make sense? And this felt like maybe this is one of those spots. It's sort of a blocker bet. It's not a value bet. It's sort of all kinds of things going on there. Okay.
And
I love it.
If you're on our podcast, you might have got a medal from Merv there.
Yeah, that's true. That's a very good point. I like it because it's not the triple barreling all in on a bluff. Well, it's nearly a bluff. You hit your ace, but it's
I'll give some credit to Taylor. Taylor is probably not expecting this, but he's the one that sort of introduced me to this. I think it was several months ago in one of our shows that we were doing a hand history. You sort of mentioned something like this in one of these spots. I'm like, that is super interesting. I want to explore that a little bit. And so I've been doing a little bit of research on that.
Nice one, Taylor.
Yeah, I've unleashed the creativity in Steve. I love it.
I'm an analytical guy. I'm not allowed to have creativity, so this is what I do when nobody knows. Oh, good stuff, Chris.
Nice hand.
Yeah, thanks. That was great.
Yeah.
Well, any other thoughts on that, you guys? I know we're at time here already, but any questions, any thoughts, any other insights from that hand or things that are coming out from anybody?
I'm thinking maybe if you find yourself in that spot with 5 left in $1 million tournament, and you've got an image of a rock, then you've got to find places to make use of it, because next you've been card dead already. You could be card dead for another half hour. So this is one hand. It's a nice suited card hand. I definitely want to be playing in this hand. And keeping an eye on the aggressor to try and pick up some tells of whether just how confident they are once that king comes down, and progress cautiously from there.
Yeah, well, that's why I like Ben's idea of the check raise on the flop too. I think that helps us locate where we're at. I mean, if they to keep mixing it up after that check raise, then you're like, all right, well, the gig is up. Versus now we're in this spot where we're like, who knows?
I think technically it's not a good spot to check raise just because of all the other draws that you could have, and there's better hands. But it's all about how often can you make your opponent fold. That's the key question. And sometimes a check raise just auto profits. And it actually more often than people realize. So it's always a good question to ask, because there's so many spots where opponents are just folding 90% of the time to a check raise. I mean, why wouldn't you?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you said it's always a good question to ask. Here's another good question to ask as we wrap up. I want to honor you guys' time, but folks that are listening in, they're like, man, I like these guys. Who's this Ben and Merv guy? Tell our folks where can they find you? Because, believe it or not, there are people that haven't heard of the Postflop Poker Podcast. So I know Jim's startled. The rest of us are startled, but how do they get a hold of you? How do they tap in?
We're totally global. We've been downloaded in over 197 countries. Sometimes only.
Did you say over 197?
Yeah, that might.
So is that 198 then? I never understood when people say over 197 because that means it's got to be 198, right? Otherwise, you would have said over 198. So
last time you looked, it was 198.
Taylor's like, go back to the creative side. This is your nerdy logical side. over 17. Well, so 18. Okay.
They could be balancing the range there. You don't know that.
They are. It's right. So anyway, so it's global. Everybody should know about you, but some of us are just crawling out from under the rocks. So how do people connect with you guys?
Yeah, well, I mean, probably the simplest way to start with, postfloppoker.com. That's the website. There's an email contact request form there. Also the podcast. Postflop, just on iTunes. It's on pretty much all of the platforms, I think. Twitter as well. I've got my Twitter. We've got the Postflop Twitter. I try and keep active on that and keep up with what's going on in the poker world generally. And Ben,
there's a store as well. I've got I like to say I've got 13 books.
Oh, you have over 12 books?
Yeah, I have. I've written a load of books, but one of them is like 10 really short ones put together.
10 volumes.
And yeah, I'm a coach for Red Chip Poker as well. So you can get if you're a Red Chip member, you can see my stuff there. There's blogs at Postflop Poker. There's a video series as well that is all about poker thought processes, which I'd recommend having a look at.
Sounds good. Well, guys, I appreciate you guys jumping on here so much and figuring out the time schedules and all that stuff. It's just a pleasure to get to know you guys a little bit more and get to hear your thoughts on that wonderful hand that Chris brought forward. So thanks for jumping on here.
Yeah, thanks. It's been a real pleasure, guys. It's been a long time coming in my mind of when we would connect up, Steve. It's all falling into place now, and I can't wait to connect up a bit more. I hopped on the home game just before the podcast started, and a couple of
you were sitting out. I saw you were sitting out, man. What were you doing?
I had to have a shower. Oh, you've got to be clean when you're on a podcast, Ben.
What was your screen name? What's your screen name?
247.
Astro 247.
Yeah, took a couple of bad beats. An under the gun razor with a suited 3 gapper that drew out on me. And
what was their name? Let's call them out, man. What was the name?
Oh, can I call them out?
Heck yeah!
I think it was B-Dog. B-Dog.
Oh, B-Dog, Brandon Kelsenberg. You just got busted by Merv Harvey. Let's go.
Bring it on.
Your dad's not going to be happy, Brandon.
I got him back with I had King Queen of Hearts flopped into the flush. He also flopped the flush with Jack 9. We both played it pretty tricky and got it in on the river, and I got my money back from him on that hand. So cheers, big dog.
Well, thanks for jumping on there. That's super fun.
Yeah, just before we go, sorry, I just wanted to say if anyone wants to have a listen to the Postflop Poker podcast, Steve was on episode 103.
Yes.
So make sure you have a listen to that one, because then you get all the things that you love all at the same time.
Right. That was super fun to do for sure. Well, guys, you guys can sign off. We have some business we're going to take care of. You guys can feel free to leave the meeting, and we'll be in touch. We'll make sure we do this again. It was fantastic.
Thanks ever so much, guys.
As we say in Canada, à bientôt.
À bientôt. They say that in France too, don't they? And Morocco.
There might be something related there. Yeah, that's a good one. See, Merv is so cultured. I love this guy. Happy birthday, Merv. You only turned 40 once. Enjoy it.
Exactly. 55's the new 40.
Take care, guys.
Thank you. Bye.
Well, there they go, guys. Fantastic stuff. Any thoughts on the backside of that, whether those guys are with the hand?
They're just so much fun. They have a great time on their show. Almost as much fun as we do, I think.
Yeah. Rob?
Yeah, Merv and Ben kind of get on each other during their show. I think you probably noticed that, Steve, when you're on it.
Yeah.
They have a lot of fun, kind of like we do. A lot of fun. And I've listened to every single episode right from the beginning. So, I enjoy those guys.
Yeah, they're fantastic. John, did you have something there?
I was just going to say it's a great podcast. They've kind of changed the format over the years. I mean, the first few they were talking about, like, what do you do with a particular hand post-flop? How do you deal with ace-king or queens post-flop with different types of boards? So they had a whole episode just on, like, how do you handle queens after the flop? It was pretty good. Still is a good podcast.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and like for rec players, man, it's fun to learn the game in the context of community, and they're some of the best at bringing community to people. So yeah, support them, listen to their stuff. They did mention Ben mentioned he's a coach for Red Chip Poker, and I just wanted to mention that if you've thought about using Red Chip Poker, we do have that code. If you use Rec Poker, if you go to redchippoker.com and use the code Rec Poker, you do get 1 free week of core. So if that's something you have questions on, let us know. We do have a partnership with those guys, and you can get coaches like Ben out there. So reach out to us on that deal. Well, guys, let's do a little round robin here. Who's got something? John, you got anything on the home games?
Well, yeah, actually, I have quite a bit of stuff on the home game. So first of all, just remember the main series are that we keep track of Player of the Year points are the first and second Wednesday of each month. So that's going to be June 3rd and June 10th. Badoogie is going to be the mixed game in June, and there is a video that is coming to help you learn the rules of Badoogie. And then,
that video should be up. That video should be up tonight or tomorrow. John's already given it to me, produced it. So if you don't know anything about Badoogie, get out there to the YouTube channel and check it out.
Yep, and you can find that on the home game page on rec.poker. Yeah. There'll be a link to that eventually as well. Maybe take me a day or two. But then we, of course, had our Tournament of Champions, the very first one that we had, the very first silver pin. And the winner of that was none other than Graphics 16, Roger Shoot. So
nice job,
he is
Roger.
The winner of the very first silver pin. And then, of course, we had our mixed game this week, and it was not Mike Patrick that won against all odds, So Jefferson Kuffenberg won the mixed game, Omaha 8, Marbles Jam, and took down the mixed game that night.
Yeah, and he called his shot, John. He was on Facebook, and he said, "This is my favorite game." He said, "I think I'm going to win this thing tonight." He called his shot, and he made it happen.
Yep. Yeah, that's pretty impressive.
That's amazing.
From now
on, we all thought Mike had the whole Canadian factor working in his favor for the mixed game there, but Marbles beat him out. What a pro!
Yeah, you guys are sort of slacking anyway. The Canadians are sort of slacking. There's only 14 more days I have to dodge, and you guys are like 1, 2, maybe 3 of you are showing up to play each night. So it's like, this is never going to happen. I'm not even
I hear it.
Anymore.
I hear what you're saying. Now, I wanted Merv to win one tonight because you said if a non-American won in the month of May, that was going to be enough to put you over the edge. I was rooting for Merv.
14 days to dodge.
I think from now on, just to keep it up, I'm calling my shot. I am winning every tournament from now in perpetuity. So if I ever win a tournament, I called my shot.
That is a baller play, John. That's a baller play.
There you go. So anyway, May 11th for the social distancing series, we have Megra 44, Doug Drabeck won. On May 12th, some dude named Poker Geek MN won.
Again, he's just glossing over another victory. Nice job, John.
Thanks. May 14th, Shamu Astris 27140, Roger Lamp won. On May 15th, Roadstar 33, Randy Smith won. On May 16th, Graphic 16 won, Roger Shoot. And on May 17th, MDLS and Oval won. I don't know.
Whoever you are.
No,
whoever you are.
They were at my table. I remember I was playing last night, and they were to my right. I think they took me out of the tournament, actually. So thanks a lot, MDL. You're making it tougher for all us Canucks out here.
Yep. So we need your name, by the way. So send your information to Steve, and we'll get your name recorded there, too. And, of course, all of you have won a bronze pin if you haven't already won one for the social distancing series in 2020.
And the bronze pins literally just got mailed out today. Just today they got mailed out. Now you Canadians are gonna have to wait a little while longer. I just send them across. They said it might be like 2-3 weeks to send stuff. So who knows?
Takes a little longer for us to get like movies and TVs and gasoline and stuff too. So don't worry.
Apparently. So Canadians couple 3 weeks, but the rest of you should be getting them within a couple days. So congratulations, everybody.
Well, yeah, I heard they just got up to, having PCs with flat screen monitors. They just got rid of the CRTs, right?
That's it. Yeah, it's going to change the way we do home offices, which is good because we're going to get COVID-19 in about 15 years at this rate.
Nice. How about you, Mr. Jones?
Well, on the member side of things, we're still in May, so we're talking about ICM tournament stages and multi-table tournaments, so that's really exciting, and we're getting ready for June, where we're going to be doing all our discussion about 3-betting. So I'm really excited for our June content. We're just kind of getting prepared to get that all pushed out and recorded. And then I think also maybe, Steve, do you want to talk about the play and learn? And there's some exciting guests and members getting access to that. So I think that's really cool too. That's coming up.
I'm super excited about this. So it's actually Wednesday is going to be our first one, May 20th. We're calling it the play and hang. We're still kind of figuring out what's the right name for this thing. Basically it's a play and hang, which means we're going to invite 7 people to play in a 1-table tournament with myself. So there'll be 8 of us actually playing, and then we're going to have a few pros stopping by from time to time to hang out with us. So we're going to be playing on the Poker Stars, just a free home game, and then we're going to have a Zoom meeting going on where we got the 9-box going, so we can all see each other chatting. And we just made the announcement of who's going to be at this thing, but the pros are going to stop by. So we're going to actually have Lexi Gavin's going to come hang out with us in the Zoom meeting from 7:45 to 8:30 Central Time. She's going to be hanging out. And then Maria Ho, she's going to stop by from like 8:30 to 9 and just hang out with us. So they're not going to be playing at all. They're just going to be chatting with us on the Zoom thing. If you have any questions, whatever. And then there'll be a little half-hour break. And then somebody named Chris Moneymaker is going to come on and hang out with us for a half hour. So it's just going to be this blast. And so we're going to be playing poker, but most of it's just going to be chatting with each other. And so, we did a Twitter contest, a Facebook contest for all of this stuff. We drew the names. We sent the stuff out today. I don't have the list in front of me, or I'd share it with you. Maybe I'll find that while you guys are chatting to let everybody know who the lucky folks are. But yeah, as we go forward, the intent is that'll be something that will, if you're a paid member at Rec Poker, you'll be put in a drawing, and then we'll select folks each month to do that. And we've got a number of pros that have said, yeah, I'd stop by and hang out with you guys. So I think this is something we're going to do, and we're going to continue. And then we will record it. And we'll make it available to our members to watch and enjoy. So it's super fun. I'm super excited about it.
So the player, you want me to give you the names of the people who
you have them?
Won?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, John.
Chad McBean, Kian Tabolki, JB Bird, Mark Wittig, Colin Anderson, Mike Patrick, and Kelly Stork.
Some of the big hitters here at Rec Poker. That's going to be great.
There's some big hitters there. So it's going to be really fun. I'm super excited about it. Yeah, John, thanks for pulling it up. Appreciate that. Jim, is there anything with Learning with Partners? You want to give an update on there since Andrew wasn't able to make it tonight?
Yeah, he was busy. We're all pretty busy over here, the stuff we're putting out together, but Andrew's been doing a great job with these Learning with Content Partners on the 2nd and 4th Wednesday of every month at 6:30 Central Time. You can get in there, and he's going to take you behind the curtain of some of the great training sites in poker right now. I'm not sure what he has lined up for next week, but I know I would go and check it out if I wanted to learn more about some of these advanced training techniques from some of our content partners. It's one of the things that I enjoy most about our site. We've got all these great seminars and features going on, and it's exciting to be a part of it.
It's so cool, right? Because last time we did like a 15-minute segment from Red Chip Poker, like their premium content. We did a 15-minute chunk from Solve for Why, their premium content. And that's all included in your Rec Poker membership. So there's no additional charge for that. So it's pretty sweet deal. Rob, you got anything on the book study that's coming up?
We're starting to talk about it.
Yeah. What are we thinking?
I guess Jim has been leaking a little bit of news on this already.
I blew it.
He said.
It was Keto Man and Illy Chippies. They held a gun to my throat, and they made me tell Illy Chippies, take the knife away.
Jill.
We're going to be doing a book study using The Game Plan by Matt Matros. He's been on the podcast before.
Yeah.
So very, very fun guy talking to him. Great book. I've started reading it, so that's a good thing. I believe, if I'm not wrong, I believe our first poker study will be on June 17th. Is that right? Yep. And so the first day we'll just kind of do an intro to the book, get everybody familiar with the process and how we're going to go through it. And I believe we have a couple copies or PDF copies of the book that we're going to be giving away. And I'm not sure of the details of that yet. I think Jim was working that out, but we're planning on giving 2 copies away to some listeners. So hopefully it'll be a fun time.
Yeah, he's given us 2 copies to give away, whatever contest we want to do, and Jim will figure that all out. But then also, if you want to be part of the book study, if you're a member, you can watch all the recorded stuff later as well. But you can order it on Amazon, or Matt has made PDFs available for $15 a piece. And I'm just going to manage all of that so we can save, all these transaction fees. So if you want to get a PDF copy of it, just reach out to me, Steve at rec.poker. I'll have you just send me $15. I'll get the PDFs from Matt and I'll send one back to you. That way you save a little bit of money off of the Amazon price. But yeah, I'm excited about it, Rob. Thanks for doing that.
It's going to be fun.
Yeah. So Taylor has a little bit of news. I'm pretty fired up about your news. What do you want to share here, man?
So our friends over at Learn Pro Poker have been holding a contest. So they've had some home games that they've been hosting with monthly standings, and then every month the top 20 moved on to the semifinals, and then they're going to have a finals where the winner of the finals earns a staking deal in a $10,000 event at a series where it would be the main event that would be happening at a series of poker playing that all the world would be attending. It's not affiliated with anything, but
no, it doesn't seem like it.
It's, if you can think of potentially a $10,000 event that you'd want to potentially play in, that the whole world was. That's what the staking deal would be for. But they've been doing this long process for their members. This past weekend, they had 100 people that had won in the previous months competing with the top 8 moving on. And on Saturday, May 23rd, so depending on when you're listening to this, hopefully this Saturday, the final 8 will be competing. And if you decide to tune in, they're going to be streaming it on Twitch, so you can live watch the final table. Feel free to be cheering for, commenting for the player named Jinch, Jinch. Us at Rec Poker will be cheering him on.
Oh my God, we're gonna be railing you like crazy. So this is Taylor, obviously, if you read between the lines. So Taylor went through this arduous process. All their members playing all these tournaments, keep advancing, gets to the top 100, then the top 8 advance to this thing. So Taylor, we're all just fired up. Like, I'm more excited than it would be if it was me, honestly, because there's less pressure. But like 5 days from now, Taylor's going to be playing for a $10,000 staking deal. Is that accurate? It's a $10,000 staking deal, I assume, right? So pretty sweet. So congratulations, Taylor. I mean, obviously you've added a ton of value to my own game, to the games of the people that have been, impacted by your work here at Rec Poker. And so it's fun to see your hard work and the dedication to the game pay off. And man, I could not be happier for you.
Hey, one out of 8. Let's just do it.
Let's just do. Why not? I mean, why not you?
Yeah. Right.
I mean, you
no one else at Rec Poker made the final 8. There were some good people from Rec Poker that had made the final 100 that I was cheering for. So our Diesel and Rick Barry, Jesper Jr. in the home games.
Oh, Pat Barry, yeah, fantastic.
Had made it. Unfortunately, they didn't make the top 8. So all their support should come to me.
Nice. We're well represented there, and we have a great relationship with Learn Pro Poker. Ryan LaPlante's a huge friend of the show. We're a friend of his as well. We do have a deal out there. Like if you want to get, sign up and be part of Learn Pro Poker, there's a great deal. Go to rec.poker/resources. But that opens up these opportunities like Taylor had as a member at Learn Pro Poker to start playing in these tournaments and eventually win the staking deal, which I've never heard of a content provider doing anything like this.
It's truly innovative. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't know. I'm not playing for $10,000, but I did win a bronze pin. So I feel like we're sort of on par here.
Yeah.
But anyway,
similar to winning the bronze pin, it's like first place is bronze pin, nothing else for second place. So I got to go get that bronze pin. Yeah.
Well, you already have a couple, so because I know that because I mailed them out today.
Exciting! They will be streaming it on Twitch. It'll probably be through Ryan LaPlante's Twitch channel, which I believe is Potential MN. If you're interested in going there, you can find him on Twitter. Find myself on Twitter. We'll be sharing that information. Time on Saturday is TBD at this point. We just wrapped it up yesterday. They're trying to figure out the details as we speak. But Saturday, it should be happening. Stay in tune on social media.
Yeah, make sure you either post it or get the information to me, Taylor, if you can. And, we'll put it out there on Facebook, Twitter. Maybe we'll do a special twerp newsletter, make sure everybody knows about what's out there. And, maybe we can get some Zoom meetings going if people want. We can kind of rail you together and kind of hang out as we watch Taylor go from 8 to 7 to 6 to 5 to 4 to 3 to 2 to 1. And Ginge takes it down. So pretty sweet, man. Good luck, and I know you've been preparing, and that'd be a whole nother conversation. Is how do you prepare when you know who your opponents are going to be and you have a week to plan? So that'd be a great topic of conversation sometime in the future. So way to go, Jim. Did you have anything else that you wanted to add? I know you've got a million things going on.
Well, we just had a huge day. We sort of leaked last week that we're putting the finishing touches on the new website, and today was a big day for that. We made some great progress. I am over the moon with how we're coming along. We're going to get some people in there this week to help us see all the little spots that we're missing, but this new website's going to be great, and I just cannot wait to unleash it on all you Rec Poker Nation, because you're going to get a big kick out of it. It's going to be great.
Yeah, it's super easy to use, and it's super fun, and it looks good. And man, we're gonna have all the content very easily accessible for all of our members and different membership tiers, and it's fantastic. Well, anything else for the good of the order, gentlemen? I know it got to be a long episode, but a lot of really good stuff happening at Rec.Poker. So, and and Merv and Ben are too good. We can't cut them off. Too good.
You know what? Actually, it just occurred to me. That MDL guy, the person that won the home game last night. I'm not sure they were American. Well, I'm just thinking something. I don't know who they are. I don't know who they are. But I seem to remember the person to my right. I made some comment about how if they also weren't from America. Okay, we're gonna have to do some detective work here. Yeah,
John,
Steve's deleting. Steve's in there deleting database entries.
I'm changing the flags right now.
Yeah, that's right. You're gonna see like crayon Canadian flag.
If we turn this upside down and.
Flag. Wow. Keep on talking. I'll look it up.
Let's leave him hanging, folks. Let's leave him hanging for a week. We're gonna see what's going on. We might get Steve singing. Oh my god!
No, I thought. Okay, well, we'll see. I do not know.
What's the Mexican national anthem? We might need to do a matinee performance.
Oh man, what was the other one I promised I would do? Was it Australian?
It was for Australia, one for Merv, but he didn't.
Merv won. So I said I'd sing the Australian one too, but
they're from Mexico.
Oh yes! Yes!
I don't know that.
Yes! I knew it!
John, are you kidding?
No, I'm not kidding. I'm totally serious.
Oh, Jim's going to say.
Oh, Steve.
Oh, boy. Well, the World Series isn't going to happen. So I guess we're out of the. Okay, we'll figure out that plan.
That makes sense.
We can find ways to make this happen.
Sandoval is a Spanish speaking name, right? Sandoval.
It is.
It's not Sand Oval. It's Sandoval.
Sandoval.
That's the last name.
Did somebody bring in a pro to make this happen, or what? Maybe if if they don't give us their name, does it actually count?
Oh yeah, maybe they're just like VPNing.
I'm looking for loopholes now, man. Oh man. Well,
okay. Well, we got to hear from this person. Whoever this person is, they have to tell us. Sorry, John.
I said whoever PokerStars thinks that they're from Mexico. We know that for sure. So,
well, I'm a man of my word. I mean, we'll figure this thing out. What I said is if a non-American won one of our home games every single month in 2020, I will sing "O Canada" on the streets of Vegas. Now, there may need to be a different alternative or whatever, but we'll make it happen. We'll do it. I cannot believe that happened. That's actually pretty impressive.
I'll just say Zoom has all those alternative backgrounds, so we can just have you singing with a photo of Vegas behind you. I think it'll be great.
That would probably be less embarrassing? Question mark? I don't know. I could maybe try to lip sync it. I could try to fool you guys that way.
Well, actually,
when you first said it in January, oh my God!
To increase the embarrassment factor, we could dress you up as an Elvis impersonator, and then with the background of Vegas, and go all out.
There's gonna have to be something else, and there's gonna be something else in the mix for that deal. Like, I agree to sing "O Canada," not the Elvis impersonation. Wow, well that's really cool. I mean, congratulations to Mr. and Mrs. Sandoval or whatever your name is, but that's pretty cool, and congrats. I mean, Mike Patrick carried you guys. I mean, at the end of the day,
he did.
Let's just face it. Patrick won everything.
We should have Mike on the pod. We should have him on so we can tell him how much we appreciate him up here north of the border. One of the true Maple Bros.
Well, guys, this again, we're like an hour and a half. It's like a record podcast. So I'm going to just shut us down on that little ending bad news that I just had. Well, anyway, guys, check out rec.poker. Go there. All the information out there. Reach out to me if you have any specific question. Thanks to running Aces Racetrack Casino and Hotel. Thank you to Learn Pro Poker. Thank you to Website AMP. We love what we're doing here and appreciate your support and making it happen. And we will chat with you next week.